Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Didn't mean to startle you there. Ooh, that sounds really good. I'll just mention this real quick. We got our amplifier replaced this week, and we found out in the course of doing that the speakers in the back were not working and have been out for who knows how long. So if I sound like I have a bigger voice today, it's because some of the technology hasn't been working. So good morning to those who are gathered here in the sanctuary and to all who are joining online today. We begin this morning with a prelude by John Mayhood. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. My name is Reverend Tim Temerson. My pronouns are he and him. Pleased to be leading worship this morning with my colleague, Reverend Leah Derlin-Jones, music director Scott DeVoe, accompanist John Mayhood, guitarist Rowan Duran, and of course the wonderful UU Seaville Choir, and this morning our special pickup choir. So this is going to be exciting. Whoever you are and wherever you have come from, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville welcomes you. We are delighted that you have joined us this morning and are grateful for all who have made this moment of our gathering possible. I invite us now to take a moment to greet others. Those online may unmute, and those here in the sanctuary or social hall are welcome to greet your neighbors, especially those you may not know. Welcome to newcomers and invite you to join us after the service in the social hall to use one of our red coffee mugs and to join us at the newcomer table, which you'll find located by looking for the red tablecloth. UU Seaville members and friends are reminded to offer anyone with a red mug a warm welcome to our congregation. There is also a live stream of the service in the social hall. All, of course, are welcome here in the sanctuary, but those needing a roomier space, the social hall is a very good option. Those joining us on Zoom are invited to stay online for conversation following the service. Many thanks to all the people who make Sunday morning services possible, our greeters, ushers, hospitality, and altar decorating teams, our wonderful religious education leaders and volunteers, and special thanks to our AV tech team, today consisting of Nash Ford and David Mellor. And now we have greetings from board member Ellie Siverud.
So, my name's Ellie Siverud, and I've been a board member since July. And besides being on the board, I'm co-leader with Kim Grover on the Ministry for the Earth team. And I'm happy to report that our congregation sent out 200 postcards this past 2 months or so, encouraging Virginians to vote in the upcoming election. And the reason we encourage postcard writing, because voting and motivating others to vote is the most effective action we can take to support and promote democracy and our environment. Another effective action you can take is to attend the Earth Ministry meeting that's coming up next week. Tuesday night, November 4th, 7 o'clock on Zoom. Everyone's invited. And you can help us greenify our congregation, our community, and our world. We'll be sending out the Zoom link to the Earth Ministry email list. And if you want to get on the list, see me or Kim, who's out there somewhere, or email us at environment@uucharlottesville.org. One of the things we're going to discuss at the meeting is the possibility of the church hosting a CSA, which is a community-supported agriculture. I'm sure a lot of you know what that is, but in case you don't, it's a program where people support a farm by buying a weekly share in advance and then getting a weekly share of the produce throughout the growing season. And our church had one a long time ago, and we're looking to the idea to see if we can be a distribution site for a local farm. If you are part of one or have been part of one, we'd love to hear from you to learn about just the best way to do that if we want to. So we're all glad you're all here this morning, and thanks for being part of it.
Here are this morning's announcements. Throughout the service this morning, you're going to be hearing a lot about our wonderful Remembrance Garden, which is located right out there. And if you would like to learn more about the garden, maybe take a little tour, our Remembrance Garden committee and team, Wayne Arneson, Elizabeth Breeden, there are others on the team, but those are the two who will be leading this morning. We'll be giving you a little tour of the garden, and you can also stop by a table in the social hall to learn more about the garden, and if you are so moved, to make a donation to support it. It's a beautiful, wonderful space, and we'll be talking more about it in a few minutes. Come one, come all to pumpkin carving and decorating today after the service near the labyrinth. Carving tools, paint, cleaning tools will be provided, and if you didn't remember to bring a pumpkin, a few extra will be available. Next Sunday, those who are new to Unitarian Universalism and or to UUCville are invited to join me and several lay leaders for our monthly newcomer circle at 12:15. We are aware that there are those in our congregation and of course in wider society who are being very, very negatively impacted by the government shutdown, by furloughs, and who are more and more finding themselves facing food scarcity. If you are in this congregation and are in such a situation, please don't hesitate to reach out to Reverend Leah or myself if you are in need of support. At the end of every pew, there are little baskets that have gold and yellow paper and pens. In a few minutes, you'll be invited to come forward and place items on our remembrance altar. And the gold slips are for everyone to use if you would like to write the names or of someone who has died, write a message, or perhaps draw a picture. So that paper is for everyone to use if you are so moved. And as always, please join us for coffee and conversation after the service.
Our call to worship this morning is a calling of the four directions, and I invite Patty Wallens and Jason Woodson to come forward. So for our call to worship, we honor the ways of Celtic ancestors as we invite the four directions to our worship and into our beings. Our direction calls were written by church member Bonnie Hansen, and we thank her for sharing them with us. And we invite you to join in as you are instructed. I light our yellow candle for the East. Spirits of the East, powers of air, we welcome you into our circle and into our bodies. We bring energy into our hands by rubbing them together briskly. And we place them on our rib cages and feel the movement of filling and emptying, in and out, bringing light, bringing life-giving breath to our lungs, our blood, our very cells. Breath of the goddess, be here now.
Spirits of the South, powers of fire, we welcome you into our circle, into our bodies. Rubbing our hands together as we feel the warmth and energy there, we place our hand on our hearts and feel the reassuring thump, 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 pushing and pulling, sending heat and nourishment, filling us with love and renewal. Heart of the Goddess, be here now.
Spirits of the West, powers of water, we welcome you into our circle, into our bodies. Rubbing our hands together, we notice the comfort of create, and then we wrap ourselves in our own embrace, an embrace that holds both our sadness and our joy, our loneliness and our connection, our anger and our relief. Tears of the Goddess for now.
Spirits of the North, powers of earth, we welcome you into our circle and into our bodies. We rub our hands together and clasp them, feeling the heat and the intricate structure, connecting us to this planet of metal and rock. We feel the music of our crystalline framework and the muscles that move it, the energy that moves us. We feel our body's strength and connection to the earth. Wisdom of the Goddess, be here now.
And now libations are offered to the ancestors. And now we will rise in body or spirit for a welcoming song, one that we're learning together. You are welcome here.
Seated. I'd now like to invite the Turner family to come forward and to light our flaming chalice. And as they light our chalice, would you please join in saying our chalice lighting words? We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. And now let's say our hand motions and the words that go along with them. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of open minds. This is a church of helping hands. This is the church of loving hearts.
It is good to be together. It is good to be together in multi-generational community. It is wonderful to have our choir singing this morning. It just feels good to be here, and I hope it feels that way for you too. Today is an important day in the life of our congregation. It's our annual observance of Ancestors Sunday. And it's a time when we pay attention to what's going on in our lives, but also in the wider culture and also in nature. So you probably have noticed maybe more prevalence of the colors of orange and black, and maybe there's some pumpkins in your yard or around your neighborhood. Maybe you're seeing some skeletons. I saw a really kind of scary clown yesterday in somebody's yard. So things that are happening in this time of the year as we turn to autumn and fully embrace what autumn brings us. And it seems fitting for us to celebrate and remember our ancestors at this time of year as we're transitioning out of warmth and summer and growth and abundance into a time when the leaves are changing color. They're falling from the tree. I had to do a little cleaning up in my own garden yesterday, and it was bittersweet. I'm not quite ready to say goodbye to some of those plants and flowers and the cheer that they bring to my life. But ready or not, it's time to honor the turning of the season. And in our faith tradition, we really invite and encourage each of us to take the time to think about and honor our ancestors. And there are many ways we do this. Sometimes we honor our ancestors with memorial services where we come together, sometimes with a small group of people, sometimes with a large group of people, to remember the lives of loved ones who have departed us. As Tim mentioned, we have our beautiful Remembrance Garden that hopefully you all have found an occasion to spend some time in, to walk through, to observe the plantings, the trees, the names on the wall. And also, as part of our Remembrance Garden, we have these amazing books. And Tim's got volume 1, and this is volume 2. And you'll notice even, if you can see, that these books say Thomas Jefferson Memorial Church, Unitarian Universalist. And they're heavy, aren't they, Tim?
They are.
And they're full of the stories of people in our congregation, and sometimes beloved ones of people in our congregation, people we didn't know, but whose loved ones wanted to include them in the garden. So they tell stories about these people and have photos. And we now have a third volume that says, and it's heavy too, the Remembrance Garden of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville on the bottom. So when I looked through these, there were many names and people that I remembered and recognized. And they're a lovely tribute to our ancestors, some known to us, some unknown to us. But I hope that actually we maybe can put them out on the table in the social hall. And for those of you who would like to look through them, you could spend a little time with them in coffee hour today. And Nash actually made us a beautiful little video that takes us all magically outside to our Remembrance Garden. And it was a bright sunny day this last week, just to capture how special this space is. Special for those who have loved ones with a name on the wall, and special for those who don't, but want to imagine their loved ones as you sit in this space. So you may recognize some of your beloveds or friends or connections as we scan the names. people that we call our ancestors, some of our ancestors who have gone before us, but whom we remember. We remember. It's part of our legacy.
Absolutely. As the video continues, I just wanted to say a quick word about one of the things that I love and appreciate about Unitarian Universalism is the importance that we place on remembering and memories of those we love and have lost. We're not the only religious tradition that does that, of course, but it seems especially important and meaningful in our tradition. And I think the reasons that remembering is so important, remembering our ancestors is so important in Unitarian Universalism. One is it's a way for us to honor the sacred circle of life, birth, coming of age, adulthood, elderly, and eventually death. But there's a second reason as well, and I think it's because in Unitarian Universalism, I think we have a pretty clear belief, many of us do, that while someone passing away takes their physical body from us and their physical presence, that through our memories, they live on in our lives. We continue to remember the joy, maybe the sadness, good times, maybe the challenging times, but the many ways that our ancestors blessed our lives. And I think the reason that we remember is because the love that we feel for our ancestors, that doesn't die. That lives on in our lives. And it is a wonderful, wonderful gift and blessing.
I want to make sure and extend an invitation to everyone to spend some time in our Remembrance Garden, to appreciate its beauty, to allow yourself to sink into its peace, to remember all whom have died. And when we talk about ancestors, that can be a complicated thing for many of us. So know that we invite you to choose whom you'd like to connect with. They may be people who you never knew personally, but who have impacted your life in a way that leads you to be inspired and to feel like you're part of the larger human family. So just reflecting back on the chain of people from whom you come, both chosen and biological, in a way that feels best and right for you. We hope that you'll visit the Remembrance Garden today after worship, and that perhaps you'll consider making a point of stopping there regularly as just a place to pause, a place to remember. So it's time now, as we do in this service every year, to create our own altar to recognize and remember and honor the ancestors and other beloveds who have passed on. I invite you to go ahead and pass the yellow slips of paper down the pew if you haven't already. You might want to write a name or names or a memory or draw a little picture. Whatever you would like to do in honor and remembrance of those who have gone before. In a moment, those of us here in the sanctuary will place pictures and mementos and what we've written or drawn on our golden slips of paper on this altar that we are creating here together. The photos that were submitted electronically prior to the service will also be shared as we each come forward. Everyone is invited at some point today to create a small altar in your own home, perhaps on your dining table or your coffee table or your windowsill. And if you have photos of loved ones who have died or something that reminds you of them, maybe a book or a flower or a piece of jewelry, you might place these items there on your little home altar to help you remember. Halloween is next Friday, October 31st, and it is an old tradition observed in many cultures. The Old English meaning is hallowed or holy evening. Halloween is the evening before the observance of All Souls' Day on November 1st, when we honor all those who have died, all of our ancestors, collective and personal. In pagan and earth-centered traditions, this observance is called Samhain. It is a deep, basic human need to remember those who came before us, those whose lives, love, work, and dreams led to this moment, to us, and to our families, both biological and chosen. Those participating in worship online this morning are invited to notice the things in your own home, perhaps pictures nearby, or other things that help you remember your ancestors. And those here on Rugby Road are invited to come forward at this time and add your items to the altar as we all bear witness to our ancestors. Our ritual of remembrance will be accompanied by Rowan Duran on the guitar. Please join me in prayer. For those in our extended human family who came before us or walked with us and are of the earth no more, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. Where there is ache, may there be ease. Where there is loss, may there be time and space to grieve. May we feel surrounded and held as if by a soft and comforting blanket, by the love that is larger than us all. May we see ourselves as part of the wider circle of life and feel connected to those we miss and love. And to those ancestors we never met in person, but whose very lives are what made it possible for us to be here today, let us offer thanks. Let our spirits be fed and inspired by the courage, the wisdom, and the dreams of our collective ancestors. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and working to co-create heaven on earth. Amen, and blessed be.
Our reading this morning is a responsive reading, and I invite you to join in with the refrain, "We remember them." These are beautiful words that were written, they're in our hymnal. They were written by Rabbi Roland Gittleson, and who's an amazing, amazing human being. And so please respond with, "We remember them." At the rising of the sun and its going down, at the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, at the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, at the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, at the beginning of the year and when it ends. When we are weary and in need of strength. When we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joy we yearn to share. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us, and we remember them.
We are an interconnected community that cares for one another, and part of how we embody this care is by making time each week to share the joys and the sorrows that we hold in our hearts. Here are this morning's joys and sorrows that were submitted prior to today's service. As we were building our altar for the ancestors this morning, we are not having our usual ritual of joys and sorrows. However, Rosalie Samari from the pastoral care team will be available for a few minutes after the service in this back corner of the sanctuary if you are in need of pastoral support or you just want someone to listen. Those online can contact the pastoral care team at pastoral@uucharlottesville.org.
A quick addendum to the morning announcements. If you are interested in taking the tour of the Remembrance Garden, the tour will gather right at the Rugby Road doors, right at the end of the service. So if you would like to take that tour, just meet Wayne Arneson back by the Rugby Road doors, and you will get a tour of the Remembrance Garden. This community offers its love and support to what is closest to our hearts. Another way we show our care for one another is in sharing our financial gifts with our community and this congregation. The Social Action Collection for the month of October is for The Haven, which provides a place where anyone in a housing crisis can come to find support and resources that they need to hopefully exit that crisis. The Haven, as many of you know, has been a long-standing partner of this congregation, and every week volunteers from UUCville serve lunch there. Nash and David, will you please show us the social action slide for giving for those who would like to make a donation right now? In addition to giving online, you can also write a check or drop cash into the collection plate. Please use one of the Social Action Collection envelopes that are scattered throughout here in the sanctuary, and then place your offering in the plate. If you are writing a check, make it out to the UU Congregation of Charlottesville and write Social Action Collection or The Haven in the memo line. Now, as always, along with the Social Action Collection, we invite everyone to financially support the ministries and mission of this congregation. Through your pledges and your weekly Sunday morning offerings, together, our financial gifts support UUCville and enable us to put love into action. This is our shared ministry. And again, during the music that follows, you can make a donation to UUCville by using the text address, Venmo, going to our website. It may also place cash or checks in the collection plate. They are passed. Let us now dedicate all of the many gifts we share with one another by saying, "We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely for the highest good."
like a leaf, gracefully, without regret.
And when I be rocked joyfully, and then when I fall, we fall like a leaf, gracefully, without regret. And when I rise, we rise like a bird, joyfully. And when I fall, let me fall like a leaf, gracefully, without regret. And when I rise, let me rise like a bird, joyfully. And when I fall, let me fall like a leaf, gracefully, without regret.
Thank you, choir.
Yeah, that was
It
beautiful.
was beautiful. It
I
was
think I want to pick up the pickup choir and take them home with me for a song later today. That was amazing.
Well, and so appropriate in what you were singing for us with what we are exploring in our service together today. The idea of moving into this time of the autumn, the autumnal season, and really, really embracing it, noticing it fully, being with it, noting the sacred cycle of life, the sacred circle of life that we are all a part. And we are so lucky here in Virginia that we get to see 4 seasons, honoring that sense of we are different from other parts of the world that don't get to experience the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter. And your lyrics of rising like a bird, joyfully, and falling like a leaf, gracefully. So I want to invite you all to notice the leaves falling and notice, yes, that gracefulness, but there's also a playfulness sometimes. Like leaves don't just fall like this. Watch what you'll see. Sometimes they dance as they fall, and it's quite amazing. So I'd love to have you watch and then come and tell me the things you've seen the leaves do. Sometimes they make me laugh out loud with the way they find themselves returning to the earth.
Reverend Leah, can I pipe in real quick?
You may.
Remember once I was taking a walk a few years ago, and it was one of those days where the leaves were really blowing around. And I was walking along and I kept feeling like they were following me. And I kept, or the spirit of life was following me. And I kept looking around and there was the leaves and yeah,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
it is.
Yeah.
And we've got just this small window of time to notice it. That's the other thing. And that's part of what brings the bittersweet quality to this time of year. It's not like we can say, well, I'll do that in 2 weeks when I've got time. We're being called now to notice what's happening in the season and to notice when the leaves are following us. And also to let ourselves be sad. So I want to invite you to just check in with yourself in this moment. What was it feeling like to be you as we all created this altar together? Whether or not you came forward, whether you were watching on Zoom, what was it feeling like to be you? What was it feeling like when you saw the images of ancestors being projected? Some that were familiar faces to you, others you don't know, but what was it feeling like in your heart, in your mind, in your body? Making space for whatever arises, but particularly honoring the grief or the sadness, the loss, and noting the importance of making space out of the busyness of our lives for the grief, the sadness, and the loss. Being aware that sometimes it feels awkward. We want to push those feelings away. They're uncomfortable. They're messy. Our culture often tells us that it's not okay to cry. It's not okay to feel sad. But we know it is okay. In fact, it's important. It's part of being human. It's a natural part of our lives. So it's important to let ourselves be sad when the sadness arises. We're supposed to feel sad. And if we don't allow ourselves to feel sad, we actually don't allow ourselves to really know joy.
Absolutely. And I just want to say a word about what you said about having space to feel sad. We do live in a culture where sometimes it doesn't feel safe to appear sad, to shed tears. I know in my years as a minister, I've had congregants sometimes come up and say, I'm sorry I was so emotional in church. And that makes me feel sad. That makes me feel sad. Because I always think that, especially at a time like this, that those tears are holy water and they're coming from love. And so I just want to reiterate what you said, which is that in times like these, whether we're grieving the loss of a loved one, whether we're sad about the state of the world, to not try to push all that down or sweep it under the rug, but to allow yourself to feel that sadness. It's so important.
And sometimes it helps to find a place where we can be with our feelings. It might be a place like our remembrance garden, or maybe it's our outdoor labyrinth, or maybe it's in this sanctuary, which is so often available for anyone to come and be in its beautiful, holy space. And it can also be really important to talk with others, to talk about our feelings, to share our sadness. And today, because this service might especially bring up feelings that need to be shared in a safe space. We want to let you know that Meg Dunham and Cindy Benton Groner from our pastoral care team will be in the church parlor immediately following the service, and they will be there for anyone who wants a loving, listening presence so that you can share whatever it is you are feeling.
And I think the most important thing to remember about sadness, about grief, is that it's so important to allow others to listen, to reach out if you're able to do that. Of course, you can grieve alone and be sad alone, but you don't have to be alone. And I want everyone to always, always remember that you have this community with love in the center, community that is always here to offer a listening ear and a loving heart. These are troubled times, but the most important thing to remember is that we are not alone. So now, before we our service and move into our closing hymn, I wanted to invite us into a brief time of calling out names. So if there is someone whose name you would like to call out, please do so. And we won't go, don't need to raise your hand. Just as you are so moved, just say a name or names of someone or someones that you have loved and lost and whose name you would like to speak into this space. Let's begin. Thank you. May our memories of all those who were named here today and those whose names remained unspoken, may those memories always journey with us, bringing love and healing. So I'd now like to invite us to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. I can guarantee this is one you don't know. So this is a hymn out of our new online hymnal. It's called Servants of Love, and it is about ancestors. Now, I have been briefed, and I'm going to let Scott talk to you for a minute. This is not an easy one to sing, but we've got the choir here, so we've got our ringers. And so please rise.
You all sounded great. I just love it that we're learning hymns out of our new hymnal. Before we extinguish the chalice and have our closing words, I want to remind those of you who did place physical items on the altar to please take them with you when you leave today. And now, as Reverend Tim extinguishes the chalice, I offer these words of benediction. As our service of remembrance draws to a close, may the wisdom, the courage, and the strength of all the ancestors stay with us this day and always. May we find comfort in our collective stories and memories, and may these beloveds live on in our hearts. Go in peace and in love. Amen and blessed be.